did a little light twinkle in my brain to go,
Yeah.
Could this be one of those upsets?
You should get the light twinkling in your brain checked out. I don't think that is
That's
normal.
not a good thing?
Yeah, that might mean something else.
Damn, I've been dealing with that my whole life. I didn't realize it. Hey, sometimes you got a twinkle in your eye. Sometimes you got a twinkle in your brain. I don't know if it's a good thing, but I'm a twinkle in the brain kind of guy. I don't know. What's up, everybody? It's Chris Simms. It's Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed is here. Ahmed Fareed is here.
That's
I was
me.
laughing as I said that. As always, we are presented by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. A little twinkle in the brain. I guess that's officially a Simsism.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't know really what I was trying to say. Light went off in my brain, but
Yeah.
I went with the twinkle in the brain.
And as you were saying it, you
Right.
knew it wasn't quite right.
Well, yeah, usually as things are coming out of my mouth that way, I can hear that they're not exactly right. But at the same time, as I'm saying it, I'm like, it still makes sense, and
Yeah.
people know what the hell I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and
you
it's
know?
too late. And
It
it's too late.
is too late. It is too late. So none of my Simsisms are ever planned. They just seem to, I combine certain phrases and thoughts and mess them up that way, and I've become an expert in that department.
It's how we get a look into your brain.
Yeah.
You know, it's
a little twinkle area. You got to find it.
But as I've said with your Simsisms all the time, like people know what you mean by them, and I think some of them they're like, actually, I'm going to use that from
the
now
better
on.
way. Florio has said that a few times. He's like, I think that makes more sense than the actual way you're trying to say it. So, yeah, I had a little light twinkling in my brain. I got lots of lights twinkling in my brain today for this podcast, Divisional Round weekend.
Your
I'm all
favorite
excited for
weekend.
that. My favorite weekend.
So not even just favorite football weekend, like Christmas, Thanksgiving. This is your favorite weekend period. Is that true?
That is a good question. Actually, yeah, Thanksgiving that's a tough weekend right there.
yeah.
That's a tough weekend to beat.
I love
because I do
Thanksgiving.
love family and I like food and I like drinking and I like smoking and all those take place on Thanksgiving weekend. I still think this is my favorite, though. Wow. I think especially when you add on now that the national championship is the Monday, too, to kind of like end that weekend. It's just little like cherry on the top that makes it even that much better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with this is my favorite weekend of the year, no matter what. Holidays, anything.
Would it be even better if you didn't have to work and you really could drink and watch?
It would be, yes. That is my frustration with the weekend.
Yeah.
Ahmed is bringing this up because he knows and he's heard me say this already, so he's going to get me to say it in front of the mic.
And we love our jobs, and there are so many good things about it. And
pumped about going to Philadelphia and being
100%.
on the field. Like, I cannot wait. When they said that, I was like, that's going to be electric.
Yeah.
To be on that field, that matchup, the Eagles, all of that. But was there a twinkle in my brain that went, gosh, now I can't sit at home and watch the game on Saturday, both games on Saturday. Gosh, I might have to be in the car and watching on the iPad for Buffalo, Baltimore, the game of the year, at least to this point, right? Yeah, that definitely went through my head a little bit, but, beggars can't be choosers, and I'm happy to be there for Philadelphia versus Los Angeles.
Well, you guys have done the FaceTime with a lot of the players and coaches this year on Football Night in America. You just FaceTime from home, from the barn.
yeah.
Like, hey, Maria,
hey,
good
I'm
to see
here,
ya.
guys. Hey, it's a hell of a games yesterday. Check back in with me in a little while after I've had a few more vodkas.
Big Dom told me I couldn't come to Philadelphia anyway, so this is safer for all of us.
I'm going to try to get Big Dom over to Florio during the pregame. Like, I joked with this with Florio on Monday, and I think he thinks I was joking. I am going to try to make that happen legit, right? Like, Big Dom, come over here, meet Florio.
Yeah.
Because Florio wrote a lot of articles about Big Dom last year.
In a negative way?
Well, a little bit like, hey, we'd never seen like the security guard for the coach or whatever get in a scuffle. Remember with the 49er players and all that?
He was just pointing it out. Hey, we've never seen this before.
He was in a lot of ways
interesting.
pointing it out, with a little bit of snarkiness too, as only Florio can
No,
do.
really?
Right. So, yeah, I think I'm going to try to make that happen. A little peaceful moment there between Florio and Big Dom.
Well, when you do, roll on it. Please take a video of that.
I will. I'll have
to see
somebody
what
film
happens.
it. I will.
So we're going to, no surprise to anyone out there, talk about the divisional round, preview these matchups. Some of them, many of them are ones that we've seen before. And so how relevant are those ones? You went back and you looked at the tape of some of these games and what teams did and maybe what teams may do differently this time. We got a few Requiem for a team, some more music coming your way throughout this podcast. But let's begin our Pick 6 here on Wednesday with the game you talked about, AFC divisional preview of the 3-seed Ravens taking on the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills. And I'm getting the sense here a little bit.
Right.
It seems like if the Chiefs win and then the winner of this game, that's a pretty big AFC championship game. I'm starting to get the sense, and maybe I'm wrong, that you're anticipating this matchup maybe even more than whoever would play the Chiefs in a potential AFC championship matchup.
Well, I think the anticipation on this one comes because of the two quarterbacks in the MVP conversation, clearly the two best MVP candidates, special football players, right? That I always say they're first ballot Hall of Famers. This is the kind of players they are. The only thing they need to finish that resume off is win this weekend, win the next weekend, go to a Super Bowl. I don't think there's more pressure on any two people in the whole playoffs than these two quarterbacks. So with that, and then, the Ravens playing their best football of the year right now, the Bills also playing really high quality football, and the fact that they got, kind of controlled and beat up by the Ravens the first time around, but they're better now, and then it's at home in Buffalo, and we know how special and cool that environment can look on TV. That's why I think I'm really excited about it. I mean, the next round ain't going to be bad either if the Chiefs are there waiting for them. Let's not take that for granted yet that they beat the Texans, but I will be excited. But yeah, this one I think just because of the things I said right there make it a little extra spicy than usual.
All right, so these two teams played Week 4.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football.
Right.
On NBC. It was in Buffalo, and the Ravens went there and destroyed them. 35-10 was the final score. Buffalo allowed a season-high 271 rush yards in Week 4. And we have a graphic on the quarterback comparison. So you're anticipating seeing this go down this weekend. Here's what happened the first time. And you see not a whole lot of passing yards for either guy, but that's a sneaky good game for Lamar Jackson because obviously they ran the ball very well. Derrick Henry, 199 yards, but 3 total touchdowns for Lamar Jackson. It was total domination.
It was total domination. It was. And even within that, too, I'm going to be able to sell you that it wasn't even as bad maybe as it looked at times, too.
Okay.
Even with the domination, again, there were some things like if there's one team that has to change their way they play more than the other in this game, it's definitely Buffalo, right? And we're going to get into that. Like, drastic changes will have to be made on the defensive side of the ball because it was too easy. But within all of that, it's 21-3. They go and make it 21-10. They get a stop. They're moving the ball. They're at midfield. And they try to trick play. If you remember, they kind of give it to the receiver or the running back who then throws it back to Josh Allen. And he's going to throw the ball down the field to an open receiver and gets hit as he's throwing it and fumbles. The Ravens recover that, short field, touchdown, then that was game over. So even while being dominated, there was a chance there where you go, damn, are they going to cut this to 21-13 or 21-17 here with the way they've gotten their ass whooped to this point, right? So, yes, things have to change. Okay, and I think what do you want to hit? We want to hit on the defensive side first?
Yeah, let's start with the Bills' defensive side because they give up 35. They give up an 87-yard rush touchdown to Derrick Henry 5 minutes into the game. And so when you went back and looked at the tape, and obviously we think Sean McDermott, we think the most of him. And he's got a great defensive mind, and they've done more with less on that side of the ball for sure the past few years.
Right.
They did give up 35. They gave up a ton of rush yards. What stood out to you about the Bills' defense?
Well, I talked to you a little bit before the pod, just when we were kind of going over things, and I was a little bit like, man, I mean, I don't know what Sean McDermott was thinking in this game with the way they approached the game. It was a little bit like almost they were like, we don't know exactly what to stop, so let's just play conservative and not give up any big plays. But within doing that, they played so simple and so soft. And I mean, like when I say conservative, not only like simple schemes, not a lot of pre-snap movement, but also like, hey, here's the defense, and hey, the linebackers are 5-6 yards off the line of scrimmage, right? Not what you'd expect when you're playing Derrick Henry and you need to clear out the line of scrimmage. The safeties played with depth. So within doing that whole approach, what did they do by trying not to let up the big plays? Let up big plays everywhere. They just, first play of the game. I mean, all you got to say is 87-yard touchdown, the first play of the game. But that's where it was odd, and that's where it will drastically have to change this time around. They're going to have to crowd the line of scrimmage. Like, it is like one of those you saw in my notes. I wrote, like, what the are they doing in this game early on? Because you just looked at the approach and you go, they're not taking away anything. They're just lining up in the defense they're calling. They're not confusing Lamar. They're doing nothing at the line of scrimmage to disrupt the blocking scheme, anything like that. If they just play it straight man for man and just go, hey, we're just going to play our defense and play zones and do all that and don't do stuff creative, they're going to lose again. They're going to have to do, as I always say, some tactical chances, right? This is a team we always tell everybody they like to play zone, But this is a game where they're going to have to be uncomfortable a little bit and pick those moments of when to play man and try to disrupt or change some things with their front in those moments. And that's what's big. And that'll be big with the Zay Flowers injury and him being healthy or not too, because that'll embolden Buffalo a little bit more to play man if they don't have to deal with him and trying to chase his crazy athletic ass all over the field.
So let's go inside your notebook, because you wrote up some notes on this. You told Pete and myself, you go, I'm going to casually watch back some of these games.
I can't help it.
8 pages later of notes. I go, there's
yeah.
nothing casual about that. And I'm getting worse at reading your handwriting throughout. I don't know if your handwriting's getting worse.
It's getting worse. It is. I definitely have I get it to like points where I'm rushing a little bit.
Sure.
And I know that like I'm not trying to be exact with my notes because I'm trying to be casual with it. So I'm kind of watching and writing at the same time, but definitely not as good as I know I can be there.
So this is what I'm talking about here. But Pete has selected this because Pete says he has actually gotten better. He's become an expert at reading your notes. And so he has picked this passage for a reason. But so Chris, go through what you were noticing here.
Okay, I'll start at the very top of the page, right? Thought they could play conservative and what? Stop big plays? I guess I was talking to myself. Like, what? Stop big plays?
Sure.
In doing that, all they're doing is letting up big plays, like I already expressed to you.
Got it.
One of the biggest ass whoopings all year. Played too worried about big passes.
Mm-hmm.
Drastic changes need to be made. If they can hold to 30 points, it's a victory. Second half did more aggressive stuff, and it slowed the Ravens down, but it was too little too late. So that's the thing. And again, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. This is a tough matchup for this Bills defense.
Still, to this day. It was week 4, and you still think that note you said, if they can hold them to 30, that's a victory. You're still talking about present-day Bills defense.
100%. I am. Then that's where we'll get into this in a minute, where I do think the Bills' offense is going to have to be a little bit of a defense or certainly keep pace, because I just don't think you're going to be able to depend on our like the Ravens, the way they're playing right now and as hot as they are, on an off day, it feels like they're going to score 24 or 27. Like that's what it feels like. So that's where I look at this and go, yes, the Bills are going to have to find ways to, as we talk about sometimes with these really high-powered, great offenses that are creative. You might have to do some things that are a little bit unsound, but you take a chance because we can't always let them just run it up the middle and be in 2nd and 4. So we're going to bring some crazy run blitz on first down, and like we talked about before, we might void an area where if they call this play, we're in trouble, but we're going to plan through our studies and the numbers that they don't call that play in this moment, and maybe we could get them in the second 16 and then give ourselves a fighting chance to go, okay, now they're in a bit of a tough spot here to get back on schedule, and maybe we can get them off the field. It's going to take stuff like that. It's going to have to take stuff of crowding the line of scrimmage and then dropping into zones and being a little bit like, man, this is uncomfortable. My safety's down here acting like he's going to stop Derrick Henry in the B gap, but when he says set HUD, I'm going to want him to run back and drop back into a zone, and that's dicey because, if Zay Flowers gets a good release or Bateman, I might not be able to get back there to help out my corner in time, all of that, but I think those are the kind of things I'm talking about that'll have to be done to give them a fighting chance, at least on that side of the ball.
Can we take a look at the dots for the Derrick Henry 87-yard touchdown run? Because you talked about it. First play from scrimmage for Baltimore. Maybe this is a more visual representation of some of the things you're talking about here. Well, he's gone already.
He's gone already, and we'll see when they re-rack it here. But again, you're going to see here just what I'm talking about, and this is a good example of, look at the defense first off. It's just a 4-3, right? Cover 4. It's too easy. It's too easy to game plan. The offense itself has seen that defense a million times and knows exactly what to do and how to block it with how they lined up, right? So within that, and then you have a smaller front to begin with, like we've talked about,
sure.
Right? So that's a double whammy. Oh, wait, I know exactly how they're lining up. Oh, wait, they're not real big. Oh, so we can make our calls and block this exactly how we want. And, of course, they get the blocking perfectly. Mark Andrews up to the second level, makes the block on Taylor Rapp. See you later. Now, one thing that was missing in this first game, Matt Milano. Him being back definitely is, I think, the best player on their defense. Him being back, the ultimate quarterback of their defense, I think allows them to do more pre-snap, right? Shift the defense. Oh, wait, Lamar, he sent Zay Flowers over here and Derrick Henry shifted to the other side of the formation. We don't want to be in this defense anymore. We got to check and get to the other defense coach taught us about all week. Yeah. There's going to have to go some of that. But, yeah, they're going to have to play some man coverage, and they're going to have to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, or they're going to get f***ed up, as I wrote in my notes. That's what it's going to be. And you might get up a little bit by taking your chances and being a little out of your comfort zone at times. But what I saw in the second half, too, and like I said in the notes there, when they played some aggressive defenses, it gave Baltimore some issues. And I think that's what they're going to have to rely on a little bit. I'm not saying going crazy, but they got to be tactical and pick their spots on where they can maybe try to disrupt this Ravens offense that's on fire.
Yeah, if you're playing the bend but don't break defense, but break in that, then you have real problems.
Bend don't break might have been cool, like with Lamar, like the first 2 years of his career, right? Where it'd be like, we're going to bend, don't break, and we're going to, like, all eyes are on him, and we'll rally and tackle him. Bend don't break anymore. He is too awesome in the pocket, throwing, making decisions, all of that. Lamar Jackson, again, it's 4 interceptions on the year. He's not getting credit for how well he sees the field and how very few throws he puts in harm's way. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, too, is just, even in this game, Lamar's throwing doesn't get enough credit. It's just unreal. His accuracy, of course, the arm strength, the different arm angles, but really the accuracy in all aspects. Touch, power, right? Sidearm, whatever. He's incredible that way. This Buffalo defense is going to have their hands full on Sunday night.
We asked the homies to identify their most important non-quarterbacks in some of these games. So Chatty Mike said to you, Ed Oliver, if he plays at a high level, rushing the passer from the middle and maintains gap integrity against the run, they may be the biggest reason, not named Josh Allen, that Buffalo wins the championship.
Ed Oliver certainly got to be disruptive. Daquan Jones, right? Austin, their big people need to win and disrupt and make some plays, and of course play stout too. And I would think too, you might see some lineups or some personnel matchups where, there is 3D tackles on the field and certain down and distances and personnel where they just go, hey, we're putting 3D tackles in, and we got Von Miller and Gregory Rousseau on the edge, and we'll see where we're going to go from there. But I would think they're going to do some of that stuff. You got to be worried about that a little bit. The Ravens offensive line, Derrick Henry, it's so big. It's much bigger than the Buffalo Bills front, and they're going to be outmanned in that department, so they're going to have to get some extra manpower in there.
So you've already mentioned it. A good defense sometimes is a good offense. And maybe that's what the Bills have to do in this one. In that Week 4 game, they rushed the ball only 17 times for 53 yards. Michael James X4 says to you, his most important non-quarterback, Ty Johnson, has been the Bills' secret weapon. His third down conversions, pass-catching skills will be key in this game. So him, and maybe that run game overall, because that's something you noted in your notes. You noted in the notes that maybe that's a place that the Bills can put the pedal to the metal a little bit more.
Agreed. Like the first time around, it's like, now Baltimore's run defense is statistically very good, right? Let me just check to see exactly where it is right now because I got it. They're one, right?
Okay.
They're number one run defense in football.
Tough to be better than that.
Now, what I would say with that is I do think it's a hair overrated. I don't think it's like quite as dominant as the statistics would show because most teams that played the Ravens said, why run it? We can throw at will on them. So I'm not going to waste my time on doing it. So that sways it a little bit. From what I saw and the way Bills have played all year and the way they're running the ball and what we saw last week with over 100 yards early into the second quarter, I do think they can push around this Baltimore front. I do. They did in the first game. They did. They just didn't stay with it. And then they got behind, and then they couldn't really stick with it, and they got to be a little too pass-happy that way. But that is one thing I look at, right, where I go, no, the Bills can run the ball. They certainly need to. If they can, yes, it chews up clock and keeps Lamar over by the Gatorade bottle, which could be good. And I'll be interested to see if they take that approach. Will they take an approach that they really never take in Buffalo, which is we'll be clock chewers and we'll try to stay on the field and be conservative with our quarterback who's a superstar just because we don't feel good about the matchup against your quarterback in that offense and your superstars over there. They've never been one team to do that, but they might do it in this matchup. So running the ball, definitely to chew up the clock, like I said. The other thing is this, okay? And this is what's different about the first matchup, too. The wide receivers are in a different spot now, right? Amari Cooper wasn't there. Keon Coleman was still learning, how to wear your uniform in the NFL the right way, right? The tight ends are healthy. They know how to use them in all the ways they do. The extra offensive linemen, they have more offense to defend. And what I'm saying is that they depend on the run a little bit. And James Cook gets going. And then it becomes, oh, shit, Josh Allen in the quarterback design run, which usually gets broken out in these type of football games, right? If they can get Baltimore into some man-to-man, that is going to be an advantage Buffalo here. Baltimore's corners are still dicey. And if they can get them to where right now Baltimore's been able to play defense and stop the run and keep safeties deep and play that kind of way as of late. This might be the first time here in a few weeks where they're like, oh, shit. We can't keep two safeties deep. We got to get down in here and be a little more aggressive. We got to play some man-to-man. And, of course, Shakir and the rest of these groups can get open against that, and it's not a great man-to-man type coverage Baltimore Ravens team, and that's definitely an advantage for Buffalo a little.
Ravens for Dummy said to you, his most important non-quarterbacks in this game, Brandon Stevens, Trey White. They're where you attack the Ravens defense. The Ravens front is tough to run on, and Wiggins, Humphrey are playing well. You want to attack them downfield, make them be special.
He's right about that. That's exactly right. And the big thing will be, can they get them to get in those positions? Can they run a little bit early in the game where they go, shit, we got to put Kyle Hamilton down there in the box and help out a little bit, right? Josh Allen, they're running the ball with the running back, and then, if Josh Allen keeps it, we're really in a problem. So let's do that. And then as we know, Josh Allen's played like Lamar, a very mature brand of football this year. Yeah, there's a few more turnovers. I know that. But still, for the most part, like we saw last week, like he's like, hey, all right, you're going to give me the 10-yard out? Boom, I'll take the 10-yard out. Oh, nothing's open. I'll try to buy some time and find something. If not, I'll just run. He hasn't been doing any crazy stuff that way. And I think they are more capable of being surgical than ever before in the Josh Allen era as far as, 12-play drives and just 5 and 6 and 8 and 5, instead of the big plays they used to rely on, I think, in the past so much with Josh Allen. Yeah. That's where they're a little bit of a different animal than years before, too.
Raven Wizard says that his most important player, Kyle Van Noy, he gave Spencer Brown issues last meeting. If the Ravens can get their pass rush working this game and limit the Bills' offense, I like Baltimore's chances.
Yeah, and two, the first matchup,
they sacked him 3 times. That was a season high.
Well, and let's this is all good. And listen, I'm sitting here just to be totally transparent. I'm favoring Baltimore in this matchup. I haven't made my pick, but I'm definitely leaning more Baltimore right now. But I'm going to give everybody a fair contextual conversation here about, hey, we've seen teams get the crap kicked out of them in the regular season before and come back and beat a team in the playoffs. That's happened a bunch of times in life. In fact, I work with a guy, Devin McCourty, who played the Jets week 14 one year and beat them 45-3, and then 3 weeks later had to play in the divisional round and they got their ass whooped and beat by, that was the Bart Scott, Yeah, can't wait. That whole thing. That was that game. They got their ass beat by New England late in the regular season, got to the divisional round, and turned it around and beat their ass. Now, I'm not expecting that, but the Bills can. And my point is, go back to week 4, right? The Bills are 3-1 and sitting pretty. The Ravens are 1-2 at this point, right? So the Bills are 2-1. Sorry, they're going into the game. They're 2-1. Yeah. The Ravens are 1-2, and it's desperation. Oh shit! If we go 1-3, we're in deep crap here, right? So there was definitely a little more urgency, and you could see that on the film too when you first turned it on. That Baltimore was flying around a little bit faster than the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. So no pick yet. But you're leaning Ravens right now.
Leaning Ravens. Bills run the ball more. Other thing is too, offensively too conservative as well either. They didn't do anything to back Baltimore off early in the football game. That was my other issue. Didn't stay patient with the run, and then the pass game was all quick, short passes. They got to back them off, and that was one of the things I wrote in my notes. Got to throw a ball down the field or take a shot early in the football game to let them know they're not just going to be able to come downhill and stop Allen and Cook in the intermediate pass game. They let the Ravens play way too much downhill, and they gave too much respect to that Ravens front. Every part of their game, offense, defense, was way too conservative.
So we know that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson obviously will have a huge impact on this game. DraftKings, though, is trying to quantify how big of an impact they will have here. They have the odds for the combined touchdowns for Lamar and Josh in this one. And so 5 or more pass rush TVs, it's plus 105. And then it gets increasingly less likely as you go on. So what was it in game number 1? Lamar had 3 himself.
Yeah, he had 3 himself. Josh had none as far as
no passing,
no
no
pass,
running.
no running. Now, I would think that's going to be different this time around, certainly.
Okay.
And to the point with our listener there who talked about, Ty Johnson and being a big part. Yeah, if they can get them into those man-to-man situations where now they can get Roquan Smith or somebody guarding Ty Johnson man-to-man, yes, that's an advantage Bills, certainly. Hey, obviously the 5+ pass rush TD is the safest thing to go. But if you want to be bold and you got a few extra, coins hanging around, the 6 total I don't think is crazy. I don't.
3 for each.
I 3 for each. You told me, like I've told you, I think the Baltimore Ravens offense has a clear advantage over the Buffalo defense. I think the Bills offense has an advantage over the Ravens defense, maybe not as big, but within that too, I think they know how big the advantage is on the other side, and they're going to push the limits, I think, a little bit, push the envelope. My heart of hearts tells me they're not going to play let's run the clock out type thing. I think they're going to try to play, no, we're just going to attack with our guy, and we trust him, and we're going to bring it at you that way, and I think that's what's going to lead to an exciting football game.
And to your point at the beginning of this, both these quarterbacks are going to want to ball out. They're going to want to prove that they were the man this year, if you want to compare the two.
Lamar's playoff record is still, what, 1-2? 1-3? Right? He's not even in a winning record as far as that. Josh Allen statistically has all these unbelievable playoff stats, but, has only been the AFC Championship game, and people think he's a reason they don't get to the Super Bowl. So they both have so much. And what is that?
3 and 4.
3 and 4, sorry. So, yes, losing record. And what's bad on Lamar is I would say his losses were against teams that were lesser than his team, and that never looked good. And then Josh Allen, it's just hey, he's fallen into the Chiefs. He didn't play good against the Bengals at home once. And then, of course, they were dominated by the Chiefs last year. Yeah. All right. So there's both a stigma and a pressure around them that they're trying to get off of them.
A reminder, DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. New customers can bet $5, get a $200 in bonus bet instantly.
Download the app and use the promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up.
DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. So what's fascinating to me about this is the Ravens, and we talked about it a little bit previously, and I'm just curious, right? They run for 199 yards against them the first time with just Derrick Henry alone. We saw it last year. They ran all over the Houston Texans in playoff game number 1. We know the winning formula here. Are they going to outsmart themselves? Are they going to think that Buffalo's going to stack up against the run? Is Buffalo going to stack up against, it's just one of those things where the formula is so obvious for the Ravens. It's run the ball, use Lamar, get Derrick Henry.
If they don't, then me and you are going to be sitting here Sunday night going, what the hell are they thinking? What are they doing? Because within that, we've already explained all the binds it'll put Buffalo in. And so you got to stay patient with that early on. Take the crowd out of it a little bit. Get your team used to the game and the environment and the cold night and all of that. And within staying in that running game, we know what can happen. They can get some matchups with less than corners covering their better than receivers, and that's advantage Baltimore. So they'd be crazy not to try to run the ball here on this one.
Yeah, Justice Hill was their leading receiver back in Week 4 with 6 catches and 78 yards, and so that's all the Ravens really needed.
That's right.
Beat them 35 to 10.
I mean, unbelievable. Right.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to stay in the AFC. We got that Texans-Chiefs rematch coming up. Is Houston live for an upset in this one? Oh, wow, interesting. All right, we'll go into the notebook for that one. Coming up next.
We'll be back.
Welcome back to Chris Simms Unbuttoned, presented by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. So here is the AFC playoff bracket. We have already previewed that late game Sunday on CBS, Ravens and Bills. Now time for the first one of Chris Sims' favorite weekend of the year, of any holiday, of football.
Yeah, screw my kids,
birthday.
my family, my wife, all of them.
Kids
nothing
in a championship
this.
football game? No.
Nothing beats
Texans,
this right here.
Chiefs are better.
Definitely. I mean, so this is the dilemma I'm in on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I leave early in the afternoon and just get to Philly so I can just sit and watch the games?
Our game is the early game, 3:30 Sunday
Exactly.
in Philly.
So, Saturday, I'm like, do I leave the house early and just get there and get settled in? Or do I just stay home and watch the whole complete first game. And then, like, around 8 or 8:30, get in the car, because Philadelphia is about 2 hours from where I live. Right? Get in the car, watch that game, watch Washington versus your Detroit Lions on the iPad.
Yep.
And just watch it on the iPad and then get there at the hotel probably, third quarter, fourth quarter, and just watch it from there. That's the dilemma I'm in. What would you do if you were me there?
So you're not driving yourself.
I'm not
right?
driving myself.
It'll be a car.
Right.
So anyone out there is like, do not watch the game while you're driving to Philadelphia.
I would never do that.
What would I do?
Yeah. What would you do? Because, I want to spend time in the house, on the couch, and watch the game.
I think I would do that. Watch the first game,
right,
and a little bit of the second game at home.
Yeah.
Because what are you really going to do at the? You're just going to watch it in the hotel room.
I know.
Doing
Well,
the same
it's a
thing.
hotel room, or sometimes I go down to the hotel bar, which can be great. I mean, it can be cool to be there, but I do worry that those times too, I end up having a bunch of people talk to me the whole time.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I'm doing a talk football show while I'm watching the game.
You know, it's funny saying that. So I was with you guys
Right.
last year with Maria, was having her first child. So I was with you guys in Detroit.
Right.
And I was hanging out at the bar with you. I was there with Devin. And we were talking, and a lot of people are coming up, and it's loud in the bar.
Watching
whatever.
Green Bay, San Francisco.
I felt the next day, like I lost my voice a little bit.
Right.
It was just like, because we were
You're
talking so
over
much.
people.
And,
It was a crowded bar. All
You're not
that.
necessarily paying attention to every play of the game, too.
Right.
Because... So avoid people.
I think you
avoid people.
Okay. I think you just
Stay
made
home.
my mind up for
Okay.
me. My wife said the same thing you said, so
Yeah.
I'll go with that. Work wife and actual wife. I'll make it work.
All right, so Chris will be watching this at home in the barn with a family. The first game of the weekend, the 4 seed in the Texans, the 1 seed in the Chiefs. We just saw this game not too long ago, right? Week 16, the Saturday game.
Yeah, we were at Universal Studios.
Oh, that's right.
You were show there.
The Universal Studios. And this one, you look at the score in 27-19, a closely contested game. What was it at halftime? 17-10. Chiefs winning only by a touchdown, although they didn't blow out a lot of teams this year. That's
no,
kinda
exactly
what
right.
they did it.
Right.
So, overall, let's just, before we get into it, and we'll get into kind of the Chiefs offense here first.
Yeah.
Overall, what was your biggest takeaway of that game then?
That this game, I expect it to be close. I do. I think that it was close the first time around,
And that wasn't a fluke.
It was not a fluke. Right, the Chiefs jumped out on them a little bit and got a lead there. As the game went on, it felt like the Texans' defense got more and more comfortable, right, with defending the Chiefs. So that would be my big takeaway. But within that, the Chiefs are a little different even now than they were then, and the Texans are a hair different too, and we'll get onto that maybe more on the offensive side of the ball. But yes, this Texans team, and like you said, first off, the Chiefs don't blow anybody out, and this Texans team is extremely talented. They played like crap towards the end of the year, but if they can play like they did in quarters 2, 3, and 4 the other day, right, play inspired and physical and all that, they'll be a pain in the ass against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I would expect them to be highly motivated because there's the fear of they know they're playing the Chiefs in Kansas City and what that does to most teams who go in there during playoff time.
So we didn't know if Mahomes would play in this game about a month ago. He
Right.
had that ankle injury, the high ankle sprain. But, Patrick Mahomes, he always wants to play in these games. And so he did that. And, of course, he had his 15-yard rushing touchdown,
Exactly
the longest
right.
of
His first
career.
drive of the game, they're like, well, his ankle's hurt. He doesn't have to scramble, and he ran like 3 times in the first drive of the game.
So let's show his passing chart here because, according to Next Gen Stats, he was the most efficient in the quick passing game in this game, 17-19, 155 yards, a touchdown on passes under 2.5 seconds. He averaged his fastest time to throw in a game since 2021.
This is ankle hurt, right? So I think there was a concerted effort to do that, okay? And this is where I love Pete because he's read my notes and he's putting this together for me a little bit. The Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryans, what's he based in, right? The Seattle scheme. They know how to attack the Seattle scheme. If there's one team in football, right, there's a few that really understand that. What happens is when you play that scheme in the Super Bowl twice, which they did with the 49ers, your knowledge of that goes way up because you become obsessed with it for 2 weeks, right? And really, when you play the Seattle scheme, this is how you attack it. The Seattle scheme is what it is because it never lets up the big play, right? So you have to be patient and just go, hey, we're going to take 5 here. We're going to take 6 here. Ooh, we have a nice little play that can kind of separate their zone and maybe get 10 here. But it's not going to be like, oh, we're looking for the 60-yard bomb over the top. That rarely happens, okay? So they showed great ability to understand the Seattle scheme. And then what's different about this team, the Texans defense, and the Seattle scheme teams, right, is this Houston Texans team, and we've said this all year, they can play man-to-man. Like, they're one of the better man-to-man teams in football. They can do that. And when they played man-to-man and they wanted to blitz, it was advantage Houston Texans, except for one thing, the bunch.
Oh, okay.
When they played, and you saw this in my notes, right? And Devin McCourty will tell you, I remember watching the game down there in Universal. I kept going, man, look, every time they get in a bunch, and a bunch can be a lot of different ways, just three guys somewhat close to each other in a lot of different ways. When they do stuff like that, and the Texans wanted to play man-to-man, they screwed the Texans up every time with crossing guys up, switch releases, and here you see in my notes.
Yeah, so here it is right now. Bunch, killing. And you wrote that out. You're like, no, it is. They were killing the Texans with this.
I didn't like how that one flew off the pen there, so I just crossed it out.
Yeah, that's not me. You're like, I'm not proud of that.
But the bunch, and the reason I wrote this one is because the bunch could be, of course, your traditional 3 wide receiver bunch, right? But this formation's a bunch too.
Okay.
Right? And they got Houston on this formation a few times too, where Mahomes is in the shotgun, the running back is offset to his left, and then he has 2 receivers to his left, kind of in a stacked, tight split, right? You know, I just wrote X and zebra here, just like position-wise. I didn't write numbers. But let's just say, you know, X is number 1, Xavier Worthy, and zebra is number 5, Hollywood Brown, and H is number 10, Isaiah Pacheco. That's still, when you play man-to-man, that's a bunch, right? It's a little different because of where the back is set up, but all the routes that are available in your traditional bunch set are available to you right here. And the Texans were repeatedly burned in this, and they're going to have to either defend it a different way or have certain calls that protect themselves when they see these formations. But that was a little bit of the chess match within the chess match of this football game. Oh, you're playing Seattle 3? Ooh, we'll pick you apart. Oh, wait, we think this might be a man-to-man type down. Let's find some creative way to get in a bunch real quick without them really noticing it, and then we'll have these little great switch releases, and we'll expose them that way. And that's where a lot of the bigger plays of the game happened for Kansas City on this one.
Sure. So one of the questions for Kansas City is, can they protect Patrick Mahomes here? The offensive line, is that the Achilles heel? So according to Matt Harding, who tweeted at you about the most important non-quarterback for the Chiefs, DJ Humphries and Joe Thuney, if they shore up the left side of the Chiefs' O-line, a three-peat becomes more likely, according to Matt.
That'll be a big thing. We've all talked about the left tackle issues. I don't know if we've really talked about how much pressure Mahomes has been under the whole year and how he's so unbelievable at either making something happen when he is under pressure or unbelievable at still throwing a ball somewhere as he's getting hit or sacked or jumping up, and, you know, like how he hurt his ankle, right? Remember how he hurt his ankle? He was kind of stuck in the pocket. There was pressure. He was trying to throw it away, so he kind of jumped up. And then, of course, when he came down, the guy kind of landed on his ankle. But he's a master at that. And we kind of take it for granted. And yet I watch games back every week and go, well, shit, he should have been sacked probably 5 or 6 more times in the game. He was under pressure a lot. He just makes it happen, and that is scary. It's scary. I'm always scared of that, especially in the playoffs, because you've heard me say this before. In the playoffs, it's one or done, right? And the guys in Houston right now, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, their coach is literally just like, we can't win the game unless you them up. We can't win the game unless you get to Mahomes. We can't win the game unless you dominate your tackle. We can't win. So that's all they're hearing. And they're hearing it in the team meeting in front of other players, so they know everybody's going to be watching them. They know they're high-paid commodities with their football team. So that's always scary. And that will be them frothing at the mouth on this one because they know how important they're going to be if they want to pull off this upset.
So one of the things you said about the Texans, too, is that they had no fear of the Chiefs' wide receivers or explosive ability in the pass game.
Yes.
So do you think that, and obviously this game wasn't that long ago, so I'm sure that hasn't changed. There is one player, Xavier Worthy, and Pete notes here, it's that maybe he is reprising the Rashee Rice role from last year, where at the end of the year he really came on strong. Right. And so his first 9 games, just 246 total yards. I feel like a lot of that came in game number 1, too, where he popped. Last 7 games, though, 55 targets, almost 400 yards. He's led the team in receiving, receptions, and yards. So what do you think about that?
They're working him in, right? They've slowly built his confidence and built him as to be kind of the number 1 guy in the offense. And they game plan a few ways to creatively get him the ball, or at least give an opportunity to get him the ball down the field every game now. So you can expect that. And if the Texans play as aggressive as they did in certain moments of the game, especially in the second half of the game the first time around, I would think that they're going to be even more confident this time around going to Xavier Worthy down the field. Let alone, that was Hollywood Brown's first game back. And I don't think he had his legs under him, his sea legs. He wasn't in football shape yet. You're going to see more Hollywood Brown, 2.5 rockets up his ass this time around. That's what changes things a little bit. But yes, with Houston watching the film, they're going to go, man, we got no fear of these guys, right? The one thing they might still not have any fear is because they may just go, we feel like we can run with them to a degree, and we're so much bigger than those two that we're going to be able to kind of bump and body them out of the way in one-on-one situations, right? That's going to be the big thing here. And that's where they're going to have to create some space for him. As the game went on, the pass rush got worse and worse for the Chiefs. So that's what worries me. And then the Texans started to go, hey, wait, we can play man-to-man unless it's a bunch. Then we got to get the hell out of it, right? But we can play to man-to-man. So let's blitz Christian Harris or one of the linebackers. Like, what the hell? Let's not let Mahomes make this magic and do this. Like, where he buys time or scrambles or does any of that. And that became a problem for the Kansas City Chiefs as the game went on.
All right.
Now, here's one other thing I want to throw into the passing game.
Yeah.
You saw this in my notes. When the Chiefs went empty a few times in the second half, right? Man-to-man, it might be tough, okay? But within going empty, it spreads the field. All right. So even within that man-to-man, you'd like to think one of those 5 guys we've mentioned, along with Kelsey and somebody else, DeAndre Hopkins, that one of those guys can win that man-to-man matchup. But more importantly, when they play their famous Seattle zones and do that, when you're spread them out like that with this quarterback and this system and as many plays as they have, like we showed on the chart, to throw the ball short, I thought that was an advantage Kansas City. I wouldn't be shocked to see them break that out more in this game when they, get to it and after evaluating the film.
Interesting, break off some big plays, which the Chiefs have done more of this year than they had. It was a concerted effort to do more of it this year.
Yeah.
But, if the weapons aren't dangerous enough, then it makes it more difficult, which when we flip it over to the other side, that will be the question with the Houston Texans, right? Are they going to be able to scare this Chiefs defense enough to open up some holes for Joe Mixon? You don't have Tank Dell in this one.
Right.
Nico Collins, who knows if he's 100%, looks pretty good.
Yeah, he looks really good. I still don't think he's totally 100%, but you're right, still damn good, right?
So what jumps out to you, and what did when you look back at this one, and what do you think going into the defense for the Chiefs against this offense for the Texans?
Yeah, this is... one, you're playing a guy that's like a master of like, hey, we didn't do this that good or didn't defend this that good the first time around. And unlike like the Houston Texans where it's like, oh, it's Seattle 3 or it's man-to-man or maybe quarters and that's all you got to worry about. Like Spagnuolo, you're like, who the knows what he's going to come out with this week. He might come out with like they're playing cover 2 here, they're playing cover 0 over here, they dropped a guy in zone over there and they went full out blitz over there. Like he could draw up some crazy crap, right? That's the thing. And yeah, it stinks that they have no Tank Dell, certainly. I think the first thing that jumped out at me about the matchup was the Texans pass protected better than I would have expected them to, with the struggles they had during the year. Right? So that was a little bit surprising altogether. The other thing is, within the matchup here, and I still think we're going to see the Texans dial up the short passing game like we saw last week. I think that's going to be their avenue of success. They're going to be the team that's going to kind of go ball control, passing offense, 5 yards, 8 yards, 12-yard drives, take some time off the clock, do it that way. I think all of that. Now, within that, right, we talked about, and this is where they're gonna have to figure out. The Chiefs will certainly play man-to-man. Will they leave Nico Collins man-to-man on an island? I don't know. Do they double him and then go, hey, we're good man-to-man. Let's make him beat us with somebody else, right? I could see that being a part of the game plan. That's going to be the big thing altogether. And I got to think that the Chiefs' pass rush is going to be a different animal in this football game altogether after kind of being disappointed with what they did the first time around.
Of course, a lot of studs. We've been talking about them on the defensive side for the Chiefs for the last couple years now. Gamer Dad Kyle says to you, his most important non-quarterback is Chris Jones. And most of the Chiefs' interior D-line, Texans' run game is legit. And if Stroud gets out of the pocket, watch out. So what do you think, like Joe Mixon, what did he do last time? 14 carries, 57 yards. So not terrible. That's over 4 yards a pop.
Yeah.
Or did rip off a 22-yarder in that one. Do you think the Houston Texans will be able to run against the Chiefs?
I would say no. I don't expect that to happen. Like you said, 22 yards. It was on the first drive, I believe, one of that big run. Yeah. And then after that, it was tough sledding. And to the point where, the Chiefs can scare you out of the run because they can put a lot of people in the line of scrimmage and they can blitz, and we know they drop out and do all of that stuff to where I think teams get a little worried about that. My biggest thing with them is they don't need to have a big running day. They just need to be patient with it. Patient with it just to slow down Spagnuolo's crazy stuff he does on defense. Patient with it so it just can't be blitz and pass rush all game long and mess with C.J. Stroud's head as far as coverages and all that. That's going to be the big thing. And then when they do want to dial up some play action, that's why you want to be patient with it as well, right? But, yeah, they're going to have to mix this up. Here's the other thing that just jumps out to me. Now, I think we're going to see a lot of three-step drop pass game again from the Houston Texans. What there's going to be the problem here is usually when the Chiefs play those type of teams and they start to realize they're being attacked that way, they're very good at getting their hands up and batting the ball down. They are got high IQ players who have great eyes in the backfield to go, wait, we're not going to get there. I see he's taking a three-step drop. Let's just read him and let me get my big paw up and knock the ball down. And they're very good at that, and I would expect that's going to be something that's thrown into their brains a lot by Spags on the defensive side of the ball.
They had 11 batted passes this season, tied for 12th in the NFL, but last postseason had 7 in 4 games, so it's something maybe they
you think of some big moments they can do that, whether it was Tua, whether it was the 49ers in the Super Bowl the first time around with Jimmy Garoppolo and Chris Jones. But, yeah, that would be one way. They got to look at that to defend it. The secondary for the Chiefs looks like that'll be healthy, so that'll be interesting too. I'll be interested in big moments. Did they go McDuffie on Nico Collins or do they go McDuffie on Nico Collins with help? Or do they go maybe, let's just say, Joshua Williams, right, on Nico Collins with help, like a true double that way, and then go, no, McDuffie, you take away Robert Woods on the other side or all of that. So now we got like 2 guys on him, and you're clearly going to have the advantage in the matchup on the other side of the ball, especially with no Tank Dell or Stephon Diggs or anything like that. I wouldn't be shocked to see them do that type of stuff in some obvious passing situations in some big moments.
To bring it back full circle here, to talk about what we were talking about earlier, the Chiefs don't blow anyone out. 14-1 in one-score games this season, 16 straight wins in one-score games going back to last season. And get this, 15 wins this season without scoring more than 30 points. That broken NFL record previously held by the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets in 1925.
That's crazy.
Pete said a good thing. He goes, I was thinking that when I was watching the Chiefs this year, I was like, this is like Frankfurt. When I remember watching them in 1920. I don't even know where Frankfurt is. Where would that be? Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. Never heard of them in my life.
Got me too.
And they were in the NFL. I didn't know that.
Only Frankfurt I know is in Germany. That's where I'm like, I can't even. So,
northeastern part of Philly.
Wow. Frankfurt, Philly. I did not know that.
So the Eagles won out there.
Yep.
There you go.
One more thing on this matchup just before we go, right? I said everything was so hard for the Texans the first time around. I mean, it was to move the ball. It was incredible throws or plays to make it happen, right? That's a big thing. The Chiefs are going to be as healthy and deep on their defense as they've been all year. Their D-line is back to full strength, okay? We talked about the offense being healthy and all that. The offense, are we going to see what we saw on Christmas Day when they whooped the shit out of the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's the other part of this aspect. Again, I know it's the Chiefs, and they're awesome on bye weeks, but are they good with 3 bye weeks? Because that's basically what they've had here. And that's what I worry about in this matchup a little bit. But I do think, too, the other thing I'm expecting to see, I wrote in the bottom of my notes, you probably saw it, is I bet the Chiefs blitz more this time around. It worked in the first meeting, right? And I do feel that the Texans D is going to have to get 2 turnovers, and Stroud will have to be great for them to win the football game. That's my thought.
Which is not crazy.
No, it's not crazy, and especially when you talk about a team that hasn't played in 3.5 weeks, right? These, as I've said for a long time here, are the recipes for the number 1 seeds getting upset more times than not.
Chiefs to win, Texans to cover. I'm making your pick for you right now. Maybe that's what it's. I'm sensing that.
I got to sit on the couch tonight and figure all that stuff out.
Imagine you pick the Texans. Oh, you could be a hero if they actually do this. Oh, you'd be the one person out there. All right, so that's a good preview. Your pick is to come tomorrow. Pick 6, number 3 now. Let's bury some teams.
Yeah.
It's about time. Let's take a little break here. We're going to look at the Rams-Eagles here coming up next. Or I'm sorry, Rams. Yeah, Eagles coming up next.
Yep.
But let's bury some teams. Well, let's bury the recent losers. Not that they're losers. They made the playoffs, but now they are.
They lost.
Losers. They lost.
Yeah.
Technically, it's correct. Chargers, Broncos, and Steelers. So the homie predictions here, only 5% of you had the Broncos making the playoffs. So they defied odds. They surprised 95% of us this year. Only 7% had the Steelers making the playoffs. That's more surprising.
Yeah.
How do you bet against Mike Tomlin?
You would think it would be a little higher than that with as many times as they've squeaked in over the last few years, right?
Actually, the most number had the Chargers making the playoffs at 23%, so well done. They believed in Jim Harbaugh out there. So those teams, though, are now dead. We have to bury them, and we do that with a song this year with Requiem for a Team.
He's not a jolly good fellow. He's not a jolly good fellow.
How dare you again?
Okay.
He's not a jolly good fellow because all of them were denied. At this point, it's basically the law that Chargers will charger even with Harbaugh. The Broncos getting closer to a championship, knowing Sean next year he'll let it rip. But the Steelers, another playoff defeat. The offensive collapse is complete. At least this year, no repeat of Chris kissing Ahmed's feet.
I mean, that's true.
He's not a jolly good fellow.
This goes hard.
It does.
He's not a jolly good fellow. He's not a jolly good fellow because all of them were denied.
They were all denied.
All denied. Oh, the white Steelers helmet with a Chargers
don't-
thing on it there. I love it. This might be my favorite part of this.
Okay, and it's the Broncos. It says Broncos there, but the Chargers logo is above it. Yeah, it's
the
it's messed
Steelers
up.
helmet has a Charger bolt on the top of it. It's
getting worse. It's getting
but I
worse.
actually love it though. It's actually perfect because the song's amazing, and then to have it like mess up on like what you would think is the easiest part. Like, let me take a picture of this team from the internet and put it here. It can't do that yet.
And now again, I'm writing the lyrics here.
Yeah,
I'm editing the video. I'm putting the pictures there.
I
So
know you are.
I'm doing a lot of
well
work there.
done with the video. Well done. The pictures, all things included.
All right, so that one's that. They're
Way to
dead.
let it rip.
They're dead. And now here's another one. We got to do some catch up here because I missed some time.
Right.
And we got to bury the Bengals, Dolphins, and Colts. So 17% of you guys had the Colts making the playoffs, and that did not happen. 57% of the homies had the Dolphins making the playoffs, and that did not happen. 91% of you had the Bengals making the playoffs. 12% had them winning it all, including the man to my left.
Yippity-doo.
We've already said this plenty of times, so we don't need to rub this in anymore.
That's all right.
Let's just do it in song form. This is the Requiem for a Team for
Seriously.
the Bengals, Dolphins, and
Oh,
Colts.
here it is,
already.
right
Here
off
we
the
go.
bat. Thank you very much. Here we go.
Simms had a dream they were a Super Bowl team, but to his despair, it was a nightmare. As we've been told, cannot play in the cold, and their best QB is still really old. You didn't pay the money required, so I'm out. You played me even when I was tired, so I'm out. You gave me everything I desired, but I'm still out.
Seriously.
We're all done, we cannot have fun. Even when there's no problem, we'll find one. Simms had a dream they were a Super Bowl team, but to
Should be
his
on there.
despair, it
Anything
was
with
a
me in the hook should be on there.
As we've been told, cannot play in the cold, and their best QB is still really old.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, they got these ones right
That
for
one's
the most
pretty
part.
good.
Pretty good. That's as good as they've been so far. Another good song, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Liked her
one-
voice. There's a hell of a voice there.
Yeah, we're working you into a lot of these songs.
Yeah,
think
I
I've
like
got,
that.
I've got some plans.
At least
for the
you
upcoming
picked
one.
like good pictures of me.
Yes.
Right? I will give you that. At least you
Yes.
didn't pick ones that were unflattering and stuff like that.
Well, now you've given me an idea.
Yeah, thank
You've
you
given
very
me an
much.
idea. All right,
Thank
so
you.
add those to your playlist right there.
Yep.
Those teams are dead, but at least you can dance to it, right? It's just like, yeah, my team's not in the playoffs anymore, but I got a little groove that I can move my head to. So there you go. We've given that to you. Before we take a break, we got to talk about the NFC here.
Yeah.
One game. So So let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the NFC, the first game. You will be there in Philadelphia talking to Dom, getting Mike Florio and him together, dodging
Getting booed about
batteries.
Jalen Hurts, all
And
kinds of stuff.
Honestly, if you're going to the Philly, do not throw anything at Chris. He does not deserve that, right? He's been the biggest proponent of your team for a long time.
I know.
And just as the quarterback may not be as good as some other people say he is,
Yeah.
but he's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Week 12, the Rams were pretty good in this one. It was a 37-20 win.
You meant the Eagles were pretty good
Sorry
in this
about
one.
that. Eagles were pretty good. No, I'm going to give even the losing team some credit in this one. They were pretty good in this one. What was it? 37-20 was the final score here. Oh, yeah, Saquon Barkley was very good in this one.
Yeah, shocker.
255 yards rushing, over 300 in total scrimmage yards. It was total domination, and yes, you're right. The Rams offense basically stifled in this one. Puka Nacua went off for over 100 yards, but that was about it.
Yeah.
So when I said the Rams were pretty good in this one, I lied. That was a lie because it was basically the Eagles running all over and doing anything they wanted against the Rams. And on second look of this Week 12 matchup, was it basically like you remembered?
It was. I mean, I think if we start off with the Eagles O versus the Rams D, right? That's to me, the Rams D and the Buffalo defense are the two units of this weekend with the rematches that have to change the way they approached and played the game drastically. Again, that's my word of the day, drastically, from the first time around. Right? There's no way they can there's really nothing they can sit back the first time and go, well, that was kind of good. That kind of worked, right? They got their ass whooped. I mean, you saw my notes. My notes just started with 26 for 255. Are you kidding me? 314 yards rushing as a team. I mean, they better do something drastic and change, right? The Rams D, as we know, is not real big. They are playing better lately. That's going to be the big thing. They are better now than where they were. Still a young front. It's a young defense in a lot of ways in the front seven. So they are, I think, more experienced in what they're being asked to do, how they figured out how they want to play these guys. But, yeah, there's going to have to be a different, really, approach. Like, early on, they played a defense that was really worried about being overpowered by the Eagles in the run game. So the pass looks were amazing for Philadelphia early on in the football game. The concerning thing is when they played these, we're really worried about being overpowered defenses. They still got overpowered and ran on. That's the problem. Like Philadelphia was like, who cares there's 9 guys here? We still think we can run it. I know the pass is like A.J. Brown one-on-one, but we can run for 10, so why not do that? And that is the scary part as far as the Rams D and what they're going to do here. They're going to have to take some chances for sure in this one. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Doesn't matter what D they play. It doesn't matter what it is. They get destroyed. And what is a little scary, because they're not real big, they're a team that likes to slant and stunt and kind of create chaos with their speed of their front a little bit more, right? Philadelphia's O-line is the best in football. And as you've heard me say, they're basic, right? Their run game, they have 2 or 3 run plays. This is a game, or it's defenses like this where that'll be beneficial because it's like, oh, you want to do all this crazy stuff? So what? We've seen everything. We only run 2 or 3 running plays. We know exactly how to block this, right? So that's what's scary. And then when you can do all that crazy stuff, as you know, and we talk about it a lot, sometimes when you do all that crazy stuff and 7 or 8 guys are up at the line of scrimmage, you get through the first wave and it's like, see you later. He's gone. You've committed everybody to try to stop him at the line of scrimmage, and they still found a crack or a seam, and now it's Saquon Barkley's gone with 3 rockets up his ass. So that's where it's really going to be tough for the Rams overall, and they got their hands full as far as trying to figure out the right defensive game plan to play here against Philadelphia.
So this is what I'm trying to figure out, because apparently you look at the stats, you know, they had no plan on how to slow down Saquon Barkley. They just had no plan for it. But also, and you mentioned it a little bit, they had no plan for Hurts in the passing game. It was like they were caught off guard by both phases.
It was a little bit like Buffalo. It was like a little bit like we're gonna try to like take away everything and not go all in one area. When I talked about Buffalo versus Baltimore, right? But yet in doing that, you took away nothing, and they can just do whatever they wanted, right? And I think that's got to concern them, and that's where I think like this time around, it has to change. They can't go into the game with that same approach there, and nothing's gonna be terribly easy against the Philadelphia Eagles, as we know. Like you've heard me say, I mean, I think they're the most talented team in football. Now, they're simple, though. And can they come up with a way to play some 5 or 6 man fronts and then also play some creative zone coverages. This is a team that wants to play zone more than not anyways, but it's another game where I go, they're going to have to dabble in man a little bit more than they would like to stop the run a little bit. And then, can they create a few little like, hey, we got 6 people to stop you from the run, and then 1 or 2 drop out, and can we confuse Hurts in the passing game that way and just hope he's a little off in that department? I think that's what they're going to have to hope for a little bit. But it has to start with stopping the run, or at least controlling it a little bit. Because if they do what this did last time, I mean, again, the hay was in the barn to such an extent, and they were physically beating them so bad that the Eagles didn't even have to really press the envelope with the pass game. You know what I mean? They could have had way more. Like you even just talked about how easy it was, and it could have been easier. But they were just like, well, who cares we're outnumbered here? We're still running the ball in a positive way, so let's keep doing that.
So maybe hope for the Rams comes from some of those guys who are playing better and some of the young guys and the rookies. An important non-quarterback comes from head coach Farrah, who said to you, Jared Verse could be an underrated piece in a surprising upset versus the Eagles. That whole defensive line could be enough to push around the Eagles' O-line. Apparently did not see that Week 12 game, but
I've not seen anybody push around the Philadelphia Eagles O-line. Like I've seen nobody. You know how I have been trying to – I think the Eagles O-line is up there with the Cowboys of the mid-'90s. My first team All-Pro tackles are the 2 tackles on the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll go over my All-Pro team at some point. I'm just telling you, Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson are my first 2 teams. If Landon Dickerson wasn't hurt for as much as he was this year, he'd have been my first team guard. Okay? And not to say that Cam Jurgen and Mekhi Becton aren't too damn bad too either. So I have yet to see a team really overpower them. And then this is the bind they put you in too, because I think if they rush 4, and when they did rush 4 in the first matchup, they don't get close to Jalen Hurts. And that's what's scary. So that's where, hey, they're going to have to find some ways to create a blitz. And like I said, play man-to-man a little bit more than they want, right? But the scary thing is just even with the 5 or 6 man fronts, you saw in my notes, there's a handful of plays where, I mean, it's 5 or 6 man fronts, and the D tackles are still 5 yards down the field. I mean, it's like set hut, and you look, and he's turning around, giving the ball to Saquon Barkley, and you're like, whoa, Kobe Turner and Brandon Fisk are literally 5 yards down the field. Like, he doesn't have to make a move up until 5 yards past the line of scrimmage to actually pick a hole because they've just mashed them backwards, right?
Yeah.
And that's a scary proposition for the Rams to stop right there.
So this all sounds like a problem. This sounds like a problem for the LA Rams. So maybe they got to do the Buffalo Bills strategy, or some other teams out there. They got to outscore them.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's a little of that too. Sure.
Can they do that though? Because the first time they played them, as you mentioned, the defense did eat. So here are all the guys who stood out for Philadelphia. Milton Williams had 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. Josh Sweat had a sack. Brandon Graham had a sack, 3 quarterback hits. He's now on IR, though. Nolan Smith, a couple quarterback hits. Decoded said to you, Nolan Smith is his most important non-quarterback, turning the corner as a legit pass rush threat alongside Jalen Carter. And I hadn't even mentioned Jalen Carter yet. And so you just see the kind of a problem that the Rams may have with trying to outscore the Eagles.
It's where, like, I wasn't sure if the Buffalo Bills, maybe do they just go, hey, we're going to be aggressive and trust our quarterback? Or do they kind of try to control the clock and keep Lamar off?
Air out of it a little bit, yeah.
Right? Where I err on that matchup, I go, I think Josh Allen then will still stay aggressive, and they're just going to trust Josh Allen to take care of the ball and make plays. I think this one we're going to see the Rams try to take the air out of the football. I think they will try to run the ball and take time off the clock because they're going to be worried about what can we really get behind in our defense in the first matchup that we think is going to be okay. I mean, one of the things I wrote in my notes is, like, if you're the Eagles and they play a 7-man front, don't check out of the run. Just keep running it, right? That's how bad it was in the game. Just stay with it until proven otherwise, right? So that's where I'm not sure as far as the Rams-O and all that. You hit a lot of the main points. I mean, just like the Eagles, their D early in the game, they played more single safety than normal and early in the football game because I think they were worried about, let's stop the run game. And then they didn't want, I think, the Rams to get off the start of the game of, like, with all their little option routes they run, right? We talk about it all the time. Like Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua in the slot, and they read the coverage, and they really can't be wrong. So they played defenses where they were like, okay, we're going to get down here, but if you break out, we get a guy here, and if you break in, we get a guy here. Like, we're not going to let you start getting in a rhythm, picking us apart 7 and 8 yards at a time, right? That was something they did. So I believe that was the focus there, to stop the run and stop the short intermediate pass game, especially the option routes that they're so special for. The pass rush for the Eagles was a major problem, like a major, major problem. You saw what I wrote in my notes. I mean, Milton Williams and Jalen Carter were problems to the Rams in all areas. Nolan Smith is better now than he was then, and he looks like he's butting into a superstar in front of our eyes, let alone he's incredible in the run game too, right? But here's the other scary part for the Rams. After the first drive, and I think you get used to the speed of the game, and that's why you can never read too much into a first drive. A lot of times defenses are feeling things out. They don't want to get caught calling something crazy and get burned and start a momentum, right? So they kind of play like a more conservative approach usually. After that, though, the Eagles started to play more man coverage, right? Single safety man, do all that. And then when the Eagles started to play more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, they really started to dominate the Rams and had their way with them. Run game, pass game, whatever you want. And that's where the dam started to break. The Rams hung in there. They did for a little bit, but it was too few and far between. And I think they're better now on the offensive side of the ball, but they're still overmatched by this Eagles defense, which is clearly the best defense in football to me.
Kyron Williams ran the ball 16 times last time for 72 yards. It needs to be more than that.
It definitely has to be 100%. Yes, this is a game where his patience again will be tested, McVay, and that he's got to do it just for all the reasons we've talked about as far as chewing up clock and don't let this pass rush tee off and don't let Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith just feel like, oh, it's a 45 times pass game and here I come. If that happens, the Rams will be in trouble.
So if you're the Rams, you're like, well, maybe Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp can just go off. And Nacua has been able to do that many times this year. Cooper Kupp, not so much recently. Did have a touchdown in that game against the Eagles back on Week 12. But how likely is the possibility that, because you got Quinyon Mitchell, you got
Cooper DeJean, Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers is their fourth corner who's damn good.
Chauncey
Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship's not bad in the back end. The 2-minute linebacker, or one, Zach Bond. We know Nakobe Dean's out now. Here's the other problem, right? Cooper Kupp's not the same guy. Their offense is so Puka Nacua. I just have a hard time that Vic Fangio is going to let him go off in this football game. Let alone, like I said, when the Eagles played man-to-man, they're going to watch the film back and go, oh, we can play man-to-man on them all day. Like, Puka will be a tough matchup. He's going to have some plays. We know that. But we're going to feel good that we can kind of shut down everybody else in the pass game when we play man-to-man, and if we want to blitz in a certain situation or do any of that. And that, to me, is also scary for the Rams. And I wouldn't be shocked to see that. I wouldn't be shocked a little bit like we talked about with the Chiefs-Texans where, hey, big down, let's double Puka, and then we feel good against everybody else matching up against them and playing man and having a guy drop in a zone here or whatever else. That is something I'd be worried about if I'm the Rams. I think the Rams are going to come out super aggressive. That would be my thought. The Rams, like I said, with some of the single safety defenses early in the game where they were worried about the option routes and stopping the run, those were defenses where I'd go, you could draw up some plays to take some shots down the field. And Sean McVay is one guy that has the guts to say, like he did. Remember the Tampa Bay divisional playoff game where they upset Tom Brady and the Bucs in Tampa for years? What did they come out in that game doing? Oh, Todd Bowles, you want to do all this stuff and stop our option routes and kind of control the line of scrimmage? Zoom, boom, touchdown, zoom, boom. And they jumped out to a huge lead. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a few shots early, 1, to see if he can hit them, 2, to back them off a little bit, and 3, I think they're going to know them being ahead in this football game early on will be a huge advantage, because if they get behind, it's just going to be a tough road to climb, a tough mountain to climb, whatever the they say for the Los Angeles Rams.
Who are you going to pick? That is not a mystery after hearing you talk about this game. But who knows? That's why they play the game. You're not always right. You admit that.
I know. You never know. And it's playoff football.
We didn't think
that's
they
where
beat the
great
Vikings
coaching,
by that much.
That's right. That's where playoff football, great coaching, right? one team didn't play their best football last week. Maybe you get them to where they're still not and they make a mistake. And then this is a team, too, with McVay and stuff where, hey, like I said, they got guts. Guy like Stafford all of a sudden hits a few big throws, and maybe Jared Verse tips a pass or gets a fumble strip on Jalen Hurts, and all of a sudden we're sitting there going, oh, my gosh, right? So that's what I would say. But the Eagles, I would say, when they played aggressive, they had their way. Like, there was the first drive of the game, the Rams went and scored, right? And make it 7-0. Then they had the drive to make it 20-14 in the third quarter. And that felt like the Eagles were like, we're up 20-7. Let's not be quite as aggressive as we were at the end of the first half. And they let them go down the field. And then the next drive, they were like, oh, let's go back to being aggressive. And they stomped them out, and that was the game over, right? So I'll be interested to see how they approach that early on. The Eagles showed how they knew how to play all the quick switch releases that McVay does, right? And, you saw my ending notes. The Rams are going to have to come out and look for big plays to start this game. They've been known to do that early, and that's their best chance to do it. They can't fall behind this Eagles football teams. Rams couldn't run the ball in the second half because they were behind. Eagles scared them out of it. Rams pass pro not going to hold if it's a passing game all day.
Yeah,
and that would be the end of
Well,
my
here's the
notes.
good thing. You'll be there in Philadelphia. You can yell, I pick you guys. I'm picking you guys. Come on. Quit yelling at me.
I hope they can turn the speakers on when a game starts, and maybe the whole stadium can hear me pick the game.
Sometimes they do that. They show the whatever
if they do it, I'll be like,
is.
Eagles 74,
you go, like,
Rams 0.
Yeah.
You still suck, Simms, but
Someone did that with the Lions last year when he was with you with a couple of the games there.
Yeah, that was you. What'd you pick that game? 56-10.
I think it was 56-10. Yeah, they didn't quite get there, but they did win. We got one more break here. When we come back, speaking of that, Pete notes in our rundown, I will reveal to everyone by how many points the Commanders will lose to my Lions by. So we will reveal that score, plus one more Requiem when we come back. Welcome back to Chris Simms Unbuttoned, presented by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. And now we have reached number 5 in the pick 6. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. My Detroit Lions for years at the end of the Chris Simms Unbuttoned podcast, just because they're no good, right? We're not going to talk about the Lions until we have to talk about the Lions. Well, here they are, the 1 seed by maybe best team in football, and here we are at the end of the Chris Simms Unbuttoned podcast again. It's unbelievable.
I mean, you'd think you'd have some pull on this podcast, right? You couldn't figure out a way to get them up the totem pole.
I was as shocked as everyone when I opened up the rundown.
I think they're only last here just because there wasn't a previous matchup. I think that's the biggest reason, right? They didn't play each other in the regular season like the other 3 games, and that's probably why. I didn't send notes about this matchup because there was nothing to watch there or break down in that department.
So this is what I don't like about the chatter about this game here.
Okay,
is that the Lions are sitting home, getting healthier. You maybe have Terrion Arnold back, Zeitler, who knows? We'll see there. Montgomery's coming back. Everyone watched the Commanders play on our air last week.
Right.
Saw them win that game. Dramatic. Jaden Daniels looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And now
there's a lot of the town now, right?
There's a lot of momentum and support here
right.
for the Washington Commanders, more so than I am comfortable with. And maybe now the Lions can have that chip on their shoulder, which maybe is necessary. But I feel like there's a lot of watch out for the Commanders in this game chatter out there.
Well, it's a good story, okay?
Yes.
They play a brand of football. Like, again, this is where it started with them in Miami, our phrase of ball control passing offense. It's like I said, for a rookie quarterback, like I've been saying, it's a very mature brand of football. They trust him, unlike most rookie quarterbacks, to go on long drives and pick you apart, and he won't make a mistake and do all of that. So just like the other night, the stats don't always look all that great when you look at their offense, but then you go, damn, they stay on the field a long time. They usually capitalize on 4th downs or when they do get down there in the red zone, right? So they have that where they kind of play a complete game of football that way. Now, I think starting there with their offense versus your defense, right, they pose some problems for you guys. Well, just one right off the bat of they are pretty good at staying patient with the run for the most part. And, of course, his ability to run the ball off of that, I think, can compromise you guys into having to play some maybe coverages and things that you don't want to play necessarily, and put your guys in some spots where it's like, damn it, we gotta put Terrion Arnold man-to-man against Terry McLaurin here. I don't really want to do it, but I'm afraid if they run the ball or run the quarterback design run or the read option with Jaden Daniels, we will be a guy short or whatever. So that's going to be the big thing there. But within the creativity of your defense and all the things you guys do, and Aaron Glenn and how he dials it up and why he's going to become a head coach, you guys are one of those guys, teams, though, that, man, it's hard to go on long drives against you guys. You guys usually do make a play because of the chaos he creates with the defensive scheme to tip a ball or get a sack or get an interception or whatever else that way. And, of course, with the crowd environment and the loud noise behind it, that'll make that even double as hard. So that's where I look at it from that standpoint. But, yeah, I would think this is going to be a game that Washington is going to have to win like they did last week. It's going to have to be on Jaden Daniels and him throwing the ball and him trying to pick apart your defense.
I mean, and the Lions have had issues. I think most teams have with the mobile quarterbacks. They've had a hard time with Lamar Jackson the last couple of years, even as they've been making their ascent. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, they only won by a touchdown in that game. Held them down, but still Kyler was okay. And then obviously they could not even begin to slow down the Buffalo Bills when they played them just a few weeks ago. And so that does make life more difficult, certainly for the Detroit Lions, I feel like.
You still have a good amount of big people up front to where I go, hey, from that standpoint, I don't think you're going to feel bad about your matchup, right, against like their offensive line. The Washington football team is, I believe, the number 3 ranked rushing team in football, but it's not really. You know, you've heard me say this before. Like, when they want to run the ball between the tackles, they're not like, oh, my gosh, we got Washington Commanders. You can't stop them. They're the number 3 rushing team in football because of Jaden Daniels and scrambles and the quarterback design runs. When I talk about really good running football teams, I talk more about like a team like you, where they go, we can hand the ball off to the running back and he can go whenever he wants. I do think your D-line is going to be able to stand up against them, to where maybe you don't have to have 5 or 6 guys at the line of scrimmage. And the other thing, too, is you got 2 linebackers in Campbell and Anzalone who are very athletic. They can run. So if they can feel comfortable about the interior guys slowing down that part of the run, that'll allow them to be able to flow over the top, strong side, weak side, whatever, when Jaden Daniels does keep the ball. And I like your chances.
Yeah.
You know, not always, because we know Jaden's going to make some people look silly, but those are 2 linebackers that certainly can tackle him in space.
Eric Shane says linebackers for Detroit. He's got his eyes on there. Are they going to spy Jaden with one of them? Mobile quarterbacks usually give the Lions some problems over the pocket passers. And so Wisco Lion BC says the Lions safety combination of Joseph and Branch, I feel like if they can stop the big plays, make 1 or 2 of their own, the Lions will be tough to beat, especially with the way the offense is playing.
I would not start out the game blitzing or doing anything like that. That would not be my MO if I'm Detroit in this one. Mine would be, let's see if our big D line can just push the pocket, right? Push the pocket, not give him lanes. Maybe we can play some zones. Our linebackers are long and tall, and the safeties are damn good, like you just said. And then within that, we're keeping our eyes on Jaden Daniels to where Campbell and Anzalone and Branch, when they see him run, we can pursue the ball about as fast as anybody in the game and hopefully make him pay for the decision to run the ball. I think that's kind of way how I envision that game. I could see Washington having some success at times, certainly.
Sure.
But I do think it'll have to be in the air. I don't think they're going to do it in the ground.
So, a lot of people come up to me and they go, well, aren't you worried about this Lions defense? I'm like, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like any team can have success against them in some games. Some games you watch them, you're like, they can't stop anyone.
Right.
And they're going to have to outscore them. But that's the thing. I do think the Lions can outscore maybe just about every team in the NFL, even if they get no stops. And they usually do get 1 turnover, a Kirby Joseph or something like that, to at least give them a little bit of a breather.
Exactly right.
There.
Exactly right. Let alone the Washington, I don't think, like I said, it puts you in that bind of being able to just physically run it down your throat all the time, right?
Yeah. So as we flip it over to the Lions offense, and that's going to be the real question, can the Commanders do anything to slow them down? Lions fan 097 says his player to watch, Jahmyr Gibbs. Commanders had the 30th ranked run defense this season. Gibbs has been on fire, playing as a borderline all-pro these last few games, really all season. Can he keep his hot streak going and run all over the Commanders' D?
He can. But I can promise you early in the game, and this is what we saw the other night from Washington. Washington knows they have the 30th ranked run defense in football.
Yeah.
They know they're not real big. Yeah, they got the 2 Alabama guys in the middle who are legit. We know that. But after that, it falls apart a little bit in size and run stopping, right? And, of course, you guys are one of the best offensive lines in football. I mean, you got killers there. But this is where I thought Tampa made a mistake the other night. I thought Tampa tried to play, well, they're not good at run. We're going to run the ball. And I'm sitting there watching the game going, Washington's got everybody at the line of scrimmage. They're giving you all these looks for Baker Mayfield to throw the ball and make big plays. You guys won't make that mistake. If they overplay, which I expect them to do early in the game, they're going to go, we got to stop the run. We can't let Jahmyr Gibbs get off and them just start going crazy, and then everything works, right? So I would think they're going to do that. I think early on in the football game, you guys will have to come out to throw the ball to then back them off a little bit like what Tampa did, right? We saw them throw the ball, have a little success there late in the first half, and then all of a sudden Bucky Irvin in the second half, late third quarter, we started to see them run the ball with success. That's the way, to me, I think, going to be the approach. Dan Quinn, defensive coach, right? He's not afraid to play man-to-man. He is going to load the box and try to smush you guys that way early on. I think you got to combat that and fire right back at him. And I think that's what Tampa Bay missed in the matchup last weekend.
What makes me feel good as a Lions fan is they have played very few stinkers this year where they just go out there and just like, man, what was that? That was a mystery. And yes, they've had the week off, and like you mentioned with the Chiefs, 3 weeks off, that becomes a little bit of a concern.
Yeah,
the Lions
1 week is not a big deal.
They played a playoff game too,
exactly
like 2 weeks
right.
ago. So
exactly right.
Against the Vikings, and they were
this is
keyed
a
up
true
for that one.
Yeah, we played a legit game the last game of the year. We got a true break. I don't expect them to be off their game. I expect this to be a 1 seed that's ready to go. You've heard me say a million times, you overplay one area of this Lions defense, they are going to fuck you over in the other area. And within that, stopping the run and doing all that and playing man-to-man, one, your offensive coordinator scary as hell when you do that kind of crap against him. Two, right, they don't have the corners to match up with you guys. They don't. I'm sorry. Marshawn Lattimore, who's he going to take? Whoever he doesn't take, the other guy's got an advantage. So if they put him on Amon-Ra St. Brown, okay, Jamison Williams is going to run by anybody else on the other side. If they put him on Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to tear up the other guy on the other side.
Yep.
So that's what I look for. It will have to be, I think, Washington playing, of course, their best game of the year, and a little bit like we saw in some of their big victories this year, their offense, and it's like the new thing this year, the ball control pass offense, control the game that way, chew up the clock, keep your team off the field and do that. And it's another game where I look at it and go, I think they probably got to create a turnover too to even think they have a chance in the football game.
And I love that Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn got all the interviews out of the way.
That's
they were
right.
able to
They're
do all
focused.
those. Now they can just focus on this game. And so I do feel good. And I always, as a Lions fan, once you start to feel good about you get that feeling in your stomach, like, why am I feeling so good about this?
Yeah, no, I think the only other thing I worry about is that if you guys have enough guys, like if you rush 4, right, and it does become that, can you guys contain him? And because you don't have Aiden Hutchinson or that fast edge guy, right?
Yeah.
To where he could break the pocket and you'd be like, oh shit, can somebody get him? Then you'll be yelling at the TV. He's been over there for 4 seconds, and then he runs somewhere else. You're like, he's been over there for 4 seconds. Oh, he got the completion.
Yeah.
That's something I worry about a little bit.
And
with
then
you
the
guys.
Commanders win the game, and then everyone is asking everyone, isn't this such a great story? Jaden Daniels, what he's doing this year? And I go, for the first time, I'm going to say no.
No.
I'm going to actually say that's not a
Exactly
great
right.
story anymore. It's turned bad. So that'll be interesting. Your official pick coming up tomorrow. All right, final thing here. It is time to bury the NFC teams that lost in the playoffs, but at least you made the playoffs, because not many homies thought the Vikings were going to be able to do that. Only 4% had the Vikings making the playoffs here. And I have seen a lot of people talking about Kevin O'Connell afterwards, like, what's going on, man? Can't win the big game? Come on. This team was not even supposed to win the playoffs. And I get it was a stinker. It wasn't a good one. And
Right.
it was, there were some mistakes maybe made.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
just like we're kind of moving the goalposts on Kevin O'Connell here, because 4% of us thought that they were going to make the playoffs.
I agreed. I don't like it either. Now, there seems to be some issues with his contract, and that's also leading to this thing. But are you kidding me? He's definitely one of the best offensive coaches in football. He's definitely one of the best head coaches in football. You'd be crazy to let him out the door. The first time, okay, they lost in the playoffs to the Giants. Their defense sucked. It was the worst in football. So, yeah, there was an issue there. And nobody expected them to be hosting a playoff game that year. And Kirk Cousins and all the magic that happened. So that was a positive. Last year, again, it was all looking good. And Kirk Cousins got hurt. And then, of course, he made some less than quarterbacks look good. This year, nobody. They went 14-3 with Sam Darnold, right? He can show the film to all those people out there against you guys against Detroit and go, look, people were open. I can't call the plays any better. Our quarterback didn't do well. And then in this last game, yeah, they got out-coached, outplayed a team that was playing for something. There was common knowledge of the team too, and yeah, did O'Connell mess a few things up? Certainly, it's okay. But damn, there's no way I'm letting him out of the building. There's no way I wouldn't pay him like one of the highest paid coaches in football.
Buccaneers are also done. 42% of you had them making the playoffs, and the Packers, 91% had them making the playoffs, which they did. 39% had them making the conference championship, including myself, which they did not. 19% of us had them making the Super Bowl, including you.
Did.
So you can just sit back and relax now. Your Super Bowl pick, you don't even need to worry about it anymore. You can just enjoy this.
I just picked the Ravens-Eagles. What are you talking about?
That's right. Yeah, right. I remember that. We have the video to prove it. AI produced it. Speaking of AI producing things, it's time to lay to rest the Buccaneers, the Packers, and the Vikings.
Bowls in this house. Let's talk bowls in this house. Let's talk bowls in this house.
Certified free, 7 days a week, except on Sunday when it got bleak. The Bucs are out, the Packers too. Love missed some passes, more than a few. You might need glasses and a new grip too, but don't call it a shocker like a flag on Walker, a repeat offender as a Packers defender. And now a year ender, it's over, ma'am. Just like it's over for Sam. Kevin is a gem, almost got the most from the man seeing ghosts, but we moved the goalpost, and now he's toast. Welcome back, JJ, the QB with the most. Give me some hope, we cannot cope. For the scope of our problems, we need the Pope. We all had our doubts, went out like a mouse, but never forget, there's Todd Bowles in this house.
There it is.
Your favorite line. You love that.
I love that.
That was our first rap, right?
The
Really?
first real rap where there wasn't like a hook and we just rapped the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. That was a good.
Style.
It was good. Different style. You don't choose the genre, or do you choose the genre of
yes,
music?
I do choose the genre.
So you went with rap on that. Once you was like Todd Bowles in this
I
house,
knew that
you're
was
like, this is a
yes.
rap song.
And some of them I don't. Like the other one we had, like I just typed in like World Fusion, which was a suggestion for me, and just saw how that sounded. So I write the lyrics, and then I'll put them in, and then I'll get a sample. Like, give me like East Coast hip hop.
Right.
He'll give me a couple, and I go, no, that's not really good.
Yeah.
Give me a couple more. That's not good. Let's try to change the style. So sometimes there are like 50 different songs that I've tried to create through this whole thing until you get the perfect one, and then I share it with you.
I feel like this could be like a great party trick thing, like a party favor at like, hey, let's let Ahmed come over to my house and write about me, drinking and smoking weed and my father and my fathering skills and my animals and all of that, and then you put it in, and we're all sitting there having a drink, laughing at that.
This is what you do. You have a party. You invite everyone over. You invite me over, and you tell me to go in the corner and make a song.
DJ Ahmed is here. Go write crude and crazy things about my friends and come back with a song.
We're gonna drink. We're gonna have fun. Yeah, don't talk to anyone. Go over there and do this stuff.
We'll give you a drink, but just shut up and stand in the corner and come up with
I'll share it. Like, what do you think? I'm like, that wasn't that great. Go do another one. All right, I'll try. No, they're very fun. They're very fun to do, and we got more to do.
We got more to do. We got more to come. We just hope it's not that one team wearing Honolulu blue up in the north.
Detroit. I'm very transparent about that. I will be rooting for the Rams very hard because the Eagles scare me for sure.
If the Lions lose this weekend, I think you need to sing your own song and just really lay it out there. Maybe try to fake cry and do everything during the song, okay?
That will be sad.
It probably won't even be fake.
My son asked me that. He goes, so if the Lions lose, you'll have to make a song about the Lions? I was like, it's part of the job.
It's part of the job.
I was like, I will have to do that.
That's what men do, son. Sometimes you lose and you got to write a song about your team.
Yeah, it's like it's like the dad who's like does an actual hard job. It's just like this is what life is like when you get older.
About.
Sometimes your team loses and you have to make an AI song about them.
Yeah, damn, Dad. Life is tough. I hope life's better for me when I grow up.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That's it. That's a show. My man, Ahmed Fareed, as always, thank you for driving the ship. You're the man. Always enjoy it. Tomorrow, Picks Pod with Florio. You know where to find us. PFT PM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned collaboration. We'll be going at it Thursday morning. You can find me on PFT tomorrow morning from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Hope everybody's well out there. See you tomorrow. Hopefully, if you don't listen tomorrow, enjoy the weekend. And, man, Ahmed, we'll see you this Sunday night, most likely. Yeah. We're figuring out some logistics of this because I am in Philadelphia and coming back, but we'll figure it out. We'll see you there. You know where to find us. Peace out. Clap it up.
Clap it up.
Thanks for watching Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's playoff time,
Oh, boy.
baby.
So make sure to smash that subscribe button, as they say. We got game recaps coming up. We got all of our Super Bowl 59 coverage from Radio Row. You will be in New Orleans yourself.
And you're going to be there at some point, too, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies.